I can probably.
Okay.
Hi, everyone. This is Kari with Cheryl and Colleen. We're the Consistently Creative Crew. And tonight we are doing the Tropic Time project recipe. It's a really easy recipe, and I think you'll like it. As I was showing everybody before we started recording, there's a couple of ways to do this layout. So if your photos don't work in this orientation, we can definitely do some rotation of the pages. So people are pulling out their papers. Just want to remind you of a couple of things, that we do record this and post it out on YouTube. We typically pause the recording while we're working for long stretches, so we don't have a recording with a lot of dead space in it. But also, if you are willing to share your layout as we're working through, and you're willing to have that show up on YouTube, you can let us know. If not, we can definitely still love to see what you're working on as we pause the recording. So this is the Tropic Time project recipe, and it uses 2 base pages and then 3 sheets of paper. We have 1 designer paper, which we want to see both sides, and we would like it to be a good contrast because it is this banner across the top. So we punch and then we lay it on a strip of that designer paper on seeing the opposite side. So the better contrast you have for that, the better the layout's going to end up looking. The other 2 sheets that we cut are going to be cardstock. I used a shimmer paper for one of them and a regular cardstock for the other. I think as you're taking a look at them, just remember that you're going to end up putting triangle pieces of them in the corner, and so you kind of want something that's going to lay on top of the other cardstock and have it look nice. So a couple of other things, we do have the chat going, which we keep the information about the dimensions in case you do not have a printout of the project recipe. And if there's anything else we can do to make this easier for you tonight, just let us know. So with this layout, I think there's a couple of ways that you can orient your page, because you could actually orient your page. I think I like this better. So if you don't have landscape photos, but you have portrait photos, you could definitely orient your page like this. You could actually rotate these 2 and have them be landscape photos. So whatever you want to do with it, you could even not have your border strips that you punch, have them on opposite sides. You could have them both, like I could have them both showing the dark side up. But it's a pretty easy layout. It comes together very nicely and holds a lot of photos. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. So I did this one with pineapple palms, and I'm going to do the one tonight with snowbound. So I picked 2 base pages, and I may end up turning them over to the other side. We'll see how that is as we move forward. And I've selected my pattern paper that I'm going to punch. And I've got 2 pieces of cardstock. One is the Starry Night Shimmer and the other is the Dark Sea Green. So first I'm going to start with what I'm going to punch. And I selected this one. This is not a brand new punch. It's called Beaded Ovals, but I decided while I'm using snowbound paper, I wasn't sure that I really wanted it for snow. So I'm going to start with this. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to punch 2 strips with this. And I like to punch on a piece of cardboard that's covered with either some wax paper or some parchment paper, because all of these punches that have all these little pieces inside the punch that come out, I end up getting them all over the place. So I punch on the parchment paper just to kind of help keep my desk a little bit less cluttered. So we want to punch 2 of those. And again, if you're not familiar with our punches, Creative Memories punches, when you're going to punch a border strip, you want to line up the edge of your paper with the black line that's on the side of the punch. And then you're going to want to punch that and then slide it down a line with the blue outline on the base and slide it down and punch until you get your entire border strip. So you're going to punch 2 of these. What punches are people using tonight?
Seashell.
Nice. That's a favorite.
Well, I didn't bring punches that would punch a whole thing out. So they're the ones that would be more like the boots. So I'm skipping that and I'm doing a border maker, the
That
one
works.
with the leaves. And so I think it's going to look really good.
Awesome. Okay. So once you've punched 2 of those, you don't need your punch anymore. And I'm going to take this and throw it out. And then you're going to need your trimmer. And depending on what punch you used, you may have an edge like I do that's not straight. I don't know if you can see that very well. So I'm going to go in to use my trimmer and just trim a very thin strip off. You have a little of extra paper at the end, but not a lot. So I'd recommend trying to make that a fairly thin strip. So if you used one of the CM borders and you're not sure how wide it is, this was planned to have mounted onto a 1.5 inch strip of paper. So you might want to just take the punch that you used and look at it on the mat, see how wide it is. You want to make certain that your strip is going to be wide enough to mount it before you cut. So if your strip is 1 inch or 1.25 inch, you're good using that 1.5 inch strip of paper. So I'm going to cut 2 1.5 inch strips. And then the next thing is going to be trimming this to 5 3/4. So for that, I have to open up the trimmer. And then this leftover strip is going to be extra. You're not going to need that. So from the 5 3/4 strip, we're going to rotate it and cut a 4 1/4 piece for a photo mat, and then a second 4 1/4 for a photo mat. And then this piece should now be 3.5 inches. So we're going to trim a 2 3/4 inch for a small photo mat and another one that's also 2 3/4 inch. And you'll be left with a little tiny little strip, and that will also be set aside. We won't be using that.
All right, can you say that measurement again for me?
2 3/4 by 3.5. So when you're done, this is what you're going to have. So you're going to have 2 punched strips, 2 strips that are 1.5 inches by 12 inches long, 2 mats that are 5 3/4 by 4 1/4, and then 2 very smaller photo mats that are 2 3/4 by 3.5. And that's your first sheet of paper.
Hang on, was it 4 1/4 or 4 3/4?
These are 5 3/4, 4 1/4.
Oh, I typed that wrong.
It's, I
Yeah.
just want to, I was looking at it going, wait a minute,
Can I edit
okay.
that?
it's
Wait a
okay.
minute. Delete. I'm gonna delete that. Hang on. Let me do that again. I wrote it down wrong. 5 3/4 by 4 1/4 times 2.
Thank you.
Okay, that's
There we go.
Right.
And then 2 and
So I'm gonna put these and set them all aside. So the next piece we're gonna cut, we're just gonna be cutting 4 photo mats and then 4 triangles out of it. So first we're gonna cut these into squares and then we're gonna cut them on the diagonal and cut them into triangles. And with this, this one is the one that ends up on top of the other one. So if you're looking at your 2 cardstocks and you have a reason to pick one on top of the other one, or one to be the circle, you can make that judgment call here. So we're going to end up cutting photo mats that are 4 1/4 by 4 1/4. So they're squares, and we're going to cut 4 of them. So they're all 4 1/4 square.
Ugh.
So a 4 1/4 strip and a second 4 1/4 strip. And you can put these on top of each other. Cut it 4 1/4. And then cut it 4 1/4.
Two.
And then when I was reading this, I was finding their instructions, CM's instructions really hard. And it's like, oh, it's this measurement that's right here, that's right below the other one are the squares. So the 2 additional squares we're going to cut are 2 3/4 by 2 3/4. But where they put that measurement is a little hard to read. So 2 squares that are 2 3/4. I see it. We doing okay?
No,
No.
I heard it. No, I'm still trying to cut. I'm finishing the first piece and I'm trying to figure out which piece I have for my second piece. Okay.
And I got a little lost with when the measurements changed because I almost cut the wrong thing.
Oh no.
It's okay. I didn't cut it wrong, but now you're like a whole page ahead and I'm trying.
Okay, well, let me pause
My
the
bad.
recording and give everybody an opportunity
Yeah.
to catch up. Okay, now we're kind of caught back up. So these 2 3/4 squares, we're going to cut them on the diagonal using the amazing trimmer that makes this so easy by lining it up point to point and lining it up on the dotted line that's on our trimmer. So it makes it very easy to cut these in half and get 2 really nice triangles. So now I've got one set, and then I'm going to line up my second set and cut that one. So from that sheet of paper, you're going to end up with 4 photo mats that are 4 1/4 square and 4 triangles that were trimmed from the 2 3/4 squares, and we're cutting along the diagonal. And for our third sheet of paper, this is the one that there was actually a mistake on the original project recipe that Creative Memories put out. So if you have the original project recipe, we'll turn it over and mark it later on just in case. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this sheet of paper and we're going to take off the corners, and then we're going to cut the jumbo circle out of it. If you do it vice versa, if you do the circle first, you might not end up with enough space on your corners to get a corner that will fit the rest of the dimension. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to cut off the corners. And the way we're going to do that is we're going to use this 45-degree line that's on our trimmer. And you're going to slide your paper in, and it's going to be a little bit different than you normally do. So you're going to slide it in, line it up on the 45-degree line. And then you're going to take the tip. I've already lost my thing. Okay. You're going to take the tip of your paper and you're going to line it up where the 2.5 inch trim line would be. So find the 2.5 inch trim line, and you're going to see it right down here. And that's where you're going to line up the corner of your paper. So I'm hoping you all can see that. So again, slide your paper in on the diagonal. So the edge of the paper is on the 45-degree line. Find the 2.5 inch trim line here, and then you're going to put the point of your paper at that place where the 2.5 inch line and the 45-degree diagonal line meet. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah,
Excellent.
got it.
And you're going to do that for all 4 corners. So again, line up on the 45-degree line, put the tip at the 2.5 inch line, and take off that corner. So on the 3rd corner, again, line up on the 45-degree, put the point at the 2.5 inch trim line, trim it, and then the 4th one should be very easy by now. 45-degree line, trim at the 2.5 inch. So for those of you who did that, if you have your printout here, I just want to point out that here on the instructions, right here, it says 2.5. One of the versions of this project recipe says 2 inches. And if you do it as those 2 inches, your triangles in the corner don't quite work out. So if you have one that came out right after they released this project recipe and it says 2 inches, it will be a little bit tighter to have that work. So if you've got all 4 of those corners, then you're going to use this awesome stop sign and cut with your jumbo circle. Now, I just want to say, there's nothing saying that you have to cut the circle here. If this shape goes really well with whatever you're working with, this could actually be a really neat shape to put there in the center of your paper. So if you don't have the jumbo circle or you like this shape, you could definitely do that. But I'm going to go ahead and continue on with the project recipe using the red blade on the outside of the jumbo circle. And this is why I said, if you are going to do this and you try to center your paper, unless you're fairly good with that, you might have had a hard time getting the corners to come off correctly. So red blade outside jumbo circle template. And be sure you check that it will come off. And I thought doing this, you end up with really kind of a neat shape that you could use for something else. I thought this was a very interesting mat that you could use on just a single page. So depending on how yours turned out, you may or may not want to throw that piece out. How are we doing?
Good.
And then the last part, the last cut we have to do is they trimmed this circle into 2 parts by cutting at 4 inches. So I just took my circle and I lined up one edge at 4 inches and I cut it. And this dimension is not vital. It doesn't. If it's 4.5 inches, a little more than 4 inches, it's not going to matter because it's really hidden in the background of your layouts. And that's it. Any questions on cutting before I start shifting over to assembling? Awesome. Everybody do okay with cutting those triangles and stuff? Good.
Mhm.
And this should come together pretty easily, pretty quickly. And the other nice thing about this is that if you decide you don't like your cardstock colors and you need to change them out and do something else, it's not really a big deal at this stage. So I am going to just kind of assemble how this is going to look. And then we'll pause the recording while we're gluing everything. Set it all up. So you're going to have your circle that's going to go across the 2 pages. You're going to have your triangles, which are basically double matted in the corners. And then everything else is going to go together like this. So I'm going to pause the recording while I'm kind of putting everything, adhering it all onto my base papers. And then we'll get back and show some of our final layouts.
Oops, we both.
Have we been?
All right, so we finished up and this is the layout that I did. And one thing we were discussing was whether you wanted to take your border strips at the top and tuck them under your triangles in the corner or leave them out. It's definitely a big difference of opinion. Some pages look better with them on top. Some of them look better with them tucked underneath. So whatever works for you. I am going to get some photos for this, but this is what I ended up with. This again was snowbound. And we're going to show some other people's layouts that were willing to let us show them. Okay, Cheryl. Okay.
So that's with Tropic time.
Nice. And yours are tucked on the edges.
I did tuck.
And you use the same patterns facing up on the punches on both sides. But it looks great. Looks awesome.
Yeah, I'm happy with it. Looks better in person. I have
Okay.
to say my lighting is not great.
It still looks great. Okay, anybody else willing to show? Okay, Colleen.
Okay, I used a Fast-to-Fab.
Okay.
Oh,
Hold on, I'm not pinned yet.
Oh, you're spotlit.
you
Okay.
are.
You are. Up higher. Up higher.
Oh, nice.
Oh, nice. I like the seashells.
So I used
Nice.
Fast-to-Fab Seaside paper.
Really nice. And you did 2 corners.
I only did 2 corners and then I did that punch.
It's awesome.
Okay, so
Great.
did that paper have like a frame around it?
Yeah, so the paper has this color on it. It has
Oh,
shells in the corner. It has the background paper. It also has this shell, which then I just
Nice.
put my embellishment, my sticker next to it. Yeah.
Nice. So you didn't cover up a corner shell with your other 2 corners then?
No, I did not.
Nice. That looks really good. I like it.
Thanks.
Okay. Anyone else willing to share for the recording?
I can
Sure, you can show mine.
Okay.
And then I'll go.
Oh,
Okay.
I will go.
Go
You go.
ahead, Eleanor.
there's Eleanor. Oh, I like it.
Take a hike.
Take a hike.
Which
Things are-
paper is
This
that,
was-
Eleanor?
Into the woods, is that what it's called?
Okay.
deep in the wood.
Deep in the woods.
And you
Deep
had
in
the
the
leaf
woods.
punch on the green leaf paper, right?
Yeah.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Thank you. And Pat?
Yep. This is emerald gemstone.
Oh,
Nice.
pretty.
Yeah, I don't know what the name of the punch is though that I used.
Oh, it's the circle with like the outer edges on it. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't
I can't
what it's
remember the
called.
name of it, but that's what I used at the top. I thought it would
Oh,
look.
weaving waves.
Yep, leaving waves.
Yeah, that's
Weaving waves.
Okay.
It looks really
Awesome.
pretty.
Yep. Thank you.
Awesome. Okay, anyone else before we go back to my table? All right. Well, thank you everyone for joining us and look forward to seeing everyone at a future project recipe class. Have a great night.
Thanks, Carl.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.